Welcome to the Tristan channel, your gateway to a world of fascinating subjects ranging from folklore, history, sci-fi, and the paranormal to film entertainment. Here we explore all kinds of captivating topics that will leave you intrigued and eager for more. Delve into the depths of ancient myths and legends. Unravel the secrets of historical events. Immerse yourself in the realms of imagination with sci-fi wonders and explore the unexplained mysteries of the paranormal. Join us on this exciting journey where we bring you the best of folklore, history, sci-fi, and the supernatural, all wrapped up in the enchantment of film entertainment. Stay tuned for enlightening discussions, thrilling narratives, and endless possibilities as we unravel the unknown together. This is the Tristan channel, your doorway to a world beyond imagination.
Hi there. Was Fenrir ever really the monster? When people hear the name Fenrir, they often picture a terrifying beast, a giant wolf destined to bring about Ragnarök, a creature who will ultimately slay Odin himself. In many retellings of Norse mythology, Fenrir is portrayed as little more than a monster, a force of destruction whose fate was written from the moment he was born. But what if there's another way to view the story? What if Fenrir is not merely the villain of the tale? What if he is one of its greatest tragedies? And perhaps, most importantly, what if the gods themselves helped create the monster they feared? The wolf cub. As you know, every story begins somewhere. Fenrir was not born as the terrifying world destroyer of prophecy. He began life as a cub, the son of Loki and Agaborda, a living creature brought into a world that had already decided what he would become. Before Fenrir had committed any crime, the gods feared him. Before he had harmed anyone, prophecies surrounded him. Before he had chosen a path, others had chosen one for him. The gods looked upon the wolf and saw not who he was. They saw what they feared he might become. This distinction is important because throughout history, fear has often judged potential before reality. The courage of Tyr. Among all the gods, one stands apart. Tyr. According to the myths, Tyr was the only god brave enough to regularly approach Fenrir. While others kept their distance, Tyr fed him. While others feared him, Tyr treated him with respect. There is something deeply symbolic about this. The god of courage is also the god who refuses to let fear dictate his actions. Tyr sees the same wolf as everyone else, yet he responds differently. Not with suspicion, not with hatred, but with trust. For a time, that trust appears to be rewarded. Fenrir grows. Powerful, yes. Dangerous, perhaps. But not yet the monster of prophecy. The fear of the gods. As Fenrir becomes larger and stronger, the gods become increasingly nervous. Eventually, they decide he must be restrained. Not because of something he has done, but because of something they believe he may one day do. This is one of the most fascinating moments in Norse mythology. The gods do not act in response to a crime. They act in response to fear. Fear of prophecy. Fear of possibility. Fear of the future. Unable to overcome the wolf through force, they resort to deception. They challenge Fenrir to test magical chains. Again and again, he breaks them. Finally, they present Gleipnir, a magical binding crafted by dwarfs. Fenrir senses something is wrong. He suspects betrayal. He asks for proof of their honesty. As a sign of good faith, he requests that one of the gods place a hand in his mouth. Only Tyr agrees. When the trap is sprung and Fenrir realizes he has been deceived, he bites off Tyr's hand. The wolf becomes a monster. Or perhaps in that moment, the gods become something else as well. The question at the heart of the myth. This is where the story becomes far more interesting than a simple battle between good and evil. Imagine Fenrir's perspective. The gods raise you. The gods feed you. The gods laugh with you. Then one day they decide that your future frightens them. They deceive you, chain you, abandon you, condemn you, not for what you have done, but for what they fear you may become. How would you feel? Would you remain loyal? Would you continue to trust them? Would you forgive them? Or would you resent, or would resentment grow? The myth never answers these questions directly. Instead, it leaves them hanging before us, inviting us to think, inviting us to wonder, inviting us to question. Did the gods create their own enemy? This possibility changes everything. What if Fenrir was not born evil? What if the prophecy became reality because everyone believed it would? What if fear itself became the architect of Ragnarök? The gods see a monster, so they treat Fenrir like one. Fenrir experiences betrayal, so he becomes their enemy. The enemy they feared emerges, and their fears are confirmed. But was that destiny? Or was it a self-fulfilling prophecy? The story offers no easy answer. That ambiguity is precisely what gives it power. Lessons beyond mythology. The reason Fenrir's story still matters today is because versions of it occur all around us. A child is labelled a troublemaker and eventually begins to believe it. A person is treated like an outsider and withdraws from society. An animal is abused and becomes aggressive. A community is feared and distrusted until resentment takes root. Again and again, people are judged not by who they are, but by who others fear they might become. Fear creates distance. Distance creates misunderstanding. Misunderstanding creates conflict. Conflict confirms the original fear. The cycle repeats. Fenrir's story reminds us how dangerous that cycle can be. A lesson about animals. There is another interpretation worth considering. While Fenrir is a mythological being, he also takes the form of a wolf. Throughout history, wolves have often been misunderstood, feared, hunted, demonized. Yet modern understanding has shown them to be intelligent, social, and deeply connected to their families. The image of Fenrir allows us to ask an interesting question. How often do humans fear what they do not understand? How often do we see danger before we see life? This does not mean every animal is harmless, nor does it mean caution is unnecessary. But it does suggest that compassion and understanding often reveal truths that fear alone cannot see. The wolf that could have been. Perhaps the most tragic question in all of Norse mythology is one that could never be answered, or can never be answered, sorry. What if the gods had chosen a different path? What if Odin had trusted rather than feared? What if Fenrir had remained free? What if the wolf had been treated as an ally rather than a threat? Could Fenrir have become one of Asgard's greatest defenders? Could he have fought beside the gods instead of against them? Could the wolf who killed Odin have become the wolf who protected him? We will never know. And perhaps that uncertainty is the true tragedy. The moral of Fenrir's story. Whether one believes the gods were justified or not, Fenrir's tale contains an enduring lesson. Fear is often necessary, but fear alone is a poor guide. When fear becomes the foundation of every decision, we risk creating the very outcomes we hope to avoid. Compassion is not weakness. Understanding is not surrender. Trust is not foolishness. Sometimes the strongest act is choosing to see possibility where others only see danger. Fenrir reminds us that labels can become prisons, that expectations can become chains, and that the futures we fear most are sometimes shaped by the way we treat others today. Final thoughts. So was Fenrir ever really the monster? Perhaps. After all, Ragnarök comes and the wolf fulfills the role foretold for him by me. But perhaps that is not the most important question. Perhaps the more meaningful question is this. What might Fenrir have become if he had been met with trust instead of fear? We cannot change the fate of the wolf in the myths, but we can learn from it. Every day we encounter people, animals, and situations that challenge our assumptions. Every day we choose whether to respond with fear or understanding. And perhaps that is the lesson hidden beneath the fur, fangs and prophecy. The greatest monsters aren't not always born. Sometimes they are created. And sometimes the difference lies in how we choose to treat them. I think this video makes an incredible companion piece to my Odin and Loki videos. Together they form a kind of a trilogy. Odin represents the danger of fear and control. The Loki video, the search for belonging and purpose. And Fenrir, the consequences of judging others by what we fear they might become. A surprisingly deep set of lessons hidden inside a 1,000-year-old mythology. If you like this video and you found it insightful or just enjoyable to listen to, then please hit the like. And if you're new to the channel, then please do subscribe, because it'd be great to have you with us. So until next time, take care and be well.